My name is Stan, I'm from Liverpool, New South Wales, and this is my 1956 F100 panel. Most know what it is but cannot fathom that it's been built. They come up to me and go, mate, you're insane, but you've done a fantastic job. That's my main motivation, is to have something massive on the road that turns heads constantly. My first car was a Holden Camira. It was canary yellow with a purple front guard. The motivation to get this car stems from, I guess, my best mate who has always had a Shelby Cobra, and I've gone to Summer Nats with him for 15 or 16 years. One day I basically said, that's it, I need to get something, and I fell in love with, to be honest, an F100 from Expendables, the Sylvester Stallone movie. So I looked at California and happened to come across the panel, which I didn't know at the time, but was extremely rare. Even in the States they're quite rare, but in Australia there's probably less than 10. The paint was in really good condition, and mind you it was 10 years old at the time, and the interior was finished. It just needed a whole new running gear, new motor, new rear end, and should be right. But I fell in love with it as soon as I saw it. Once the car landed in Australia, I didn't know what I was going to do to it until I got it here at Pulse Racing. And when I sat down with Paul, I think his first words were, "You're insane, but let's do it." But I knew I wanted something unique because the car was quite rare in Australia, and I didn't just want a straight standard V8 in it. A lot of trial and error, a lot of headache, a lot of tears, a lot of blood, sweat. First thing we did was we strapped 2 turbos to a 1974 Mustang engine. Now, that engine is not designed for boost, and we were running the headers so hot they were white, you can almost see into the combustion chambers on the dyno. Everything was flying off the motor, and we just thought, this can't be. So we basically decided to do a nuts and bolts ground up build, which was done by Faber Industries. They came back with a full race and drag spec internal motor, good for 2,500 to 3,000 horsepower at the motor. We then thought, well, how are we going to make this 427 sing? So we decided to put 2 turbos and a root style supercharger on it. They work in conjunction with each other, and a traditional shotgun scoop, which we have blown off the top before at 1,200 horsepower at the rear, but we've decided until we get a new plenum chamber or a new intake at the top, we'll keep it at 750 at the rear, and that is still quite a bit for the street. The engine is a Ford 427 dart block, forged internals. We built the car to roughly withstand around 2,500 horsepower. It's mated to a standard C6 transmission with, again, forged billet internals. So everything we've done to the car has been, so it has been over-engineered and underutilised. We know what the potential of the car is if we wanted to really go silly and see if we could twist the thing. One of the things I wanted the most is to have those turbos sitting up in the engine. I spent a good 4 days sitting on the top of the motor in this workshop at Pulse Racing, trying to decide how I would cut a hole in a bonnet, which I only had one of. Now, not only was I going to wreck a very good paint job on a bonnet I only had one of, but I had to cut into this thing with a jigsaw. I cut a hole in the bonnet and just a bit of pinch weld, and that thing looks fantastic wrapped around that motor. The turbos on the car are custom Garrett TF4Z turbos with custom external wastegates. They are running into custom intercooler, which is made to look like a 50s radiator. Out of the intercooler run 2 5-inch pipes going into a traditional shotgun scoop, which is then mated onto twin 4-barrel throttle bodies, that running into a traditional 671 Roots BDS supercharger. At one stage we were running E85 because we needed extra cooling for the motor. At the time I think I was running 1 litre per 2 kilometres. There just weren't enough E85 fuel stations in Australia for me to go from station to station to station to a car show. I was carrying 80 litres of fuel in 4 jerry cans in my car at any given time. Now that was the butt of a lot of jokes at car shows because people knew who I was. The paint was painted in 2001. It is a 2001 GM medium red mica. The dash of the car is colour-coded to the rest of the car. It is all steel, there's no plastic in this car whatsoever. The carpeting, the 2 Mustang seats, the interior is a faux leather black look. Only recently did I get new tyres for the car. Currently the rears are sitting on 30x12 R18s and the fronts are sitting on 26/12 R18s. And it just gives it that nice hot roddy stance. The only real modern parts of the car are the Motec computer running engine management system and the Dakota digital dash. I wanted something digital in there because I wanted to meet the old with the new. Last year, I had the pleasure of meeting Chip Foose, who I guess we all know is a legend. I happened to have in my hot little hand a Techstar and my glove box. Just out of the blue, he draws this panel on my glove box, signing it, Chip Foose, Wild 56, 2016. I don't think I've ever had anything better in the scene. Tops. A lot of people often ask me if I'm going to take it down to the track, or if I have, and how quick it is down a quarter mile. Now, I've never taken it to the track, and I more than likely never will. I mean, that's not why the car was built. If I wanted to build it, then I'd probably have to spend a bit of extra money just to get it track ready, but then I couldn't drive it on the street. So that would basically lose all the enthusiasm for what it's built for. Since I've built this car, I guess the greatest thing has been all the enthusiasm and attention from the scene. A lot of people appreciate the build, appreciate where it was built, where I take it, how I drive it. I always drive it, I try to drive it quite gently for what it is. Generally, the car scene itself has been really great, and I enjoy the company of the people in that scene. I have comments from all walks of life, whether they like their Japanese cars, or their hot rods, or their muscle cars, or they like trucks. They all love this car because it has all those elements in there, from the induction to the style to the look, and the way it sits on the road. I mean, the thing looks 100 miles an hour standing still. It's great.